All praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakak Wadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect to the nation of Israel. The Israelite rulership is going to be better than the rulership of any other people, and it's going to be the most fair and honest rulership that the world's ever seen. This is Sirach chapter 10. In fact, Sirach chapter 10 and verse 4. The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable, and that starts with Yahweh's son, who is Yahweh Shai. And then from that, it's going to go through all the other people that are underneath Yahweh Shai, from the 12 to King David, to all the other people that are underneath Yahweh Shai. King David, the 12, the 144,000, the 1/3, all the other people of the elected nation of Israel. It's all going to trickle down through them, and then through all the other Israelites as well. They're also going to be part of the nation being righteous. This is Sirach chapter 10 and verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceits, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. I'll read that again. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. And that's what you see in all of these kingdoms that have either ruled or are currently ruling now. There's always a point where people get fed up of them ruling and they take them down. And that's why through history you've had all these different wars, you've had all these world wars, and you've had all these other different battles that people have had between each other, because people are trying to rule, but they're ruling in an unrighteous way. Whereas the Israelites are going to rule in a righteous way, and the Israelites have got rules and regulations that are righteous. Whereas everyone else that's tried to rule has always ruled in a wicked way. This is Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 6. In fact, verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. And that's, if you also look at other nations, right, their so-called thing that they view as wisdom is their wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations. Their laws and their statutes that they have, their particular rules that they have, is also their wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations. But the nations ain't saying that these laws are wise and understanding, and this is a wise and understanding people. They're saying these people are idiots and they don't know what the hell they're doing. And they're saying, why the hell should I have to put this thing on my face that's so thin, but then when I come outside it's okay if I don't have it on? They're saying, why is it that even if I have this thing that you're trying to push and everyone injected into my body, that still I'm not protected against this thing that you're talking about anyway? And then if I don't have it, and I do have it, my life pretty much don't change, and I still have to have this mask on my face. That's what they're saying. They're viewing the way how taxes are done in this society, and they're like, hang on, this doesn't make any sense. I never seem to have any money spare to do anything for myself. They're looking at the ways of this society, and they're saying, well, I don't believe this is people are starting to not believe that this is a wise nation, that these Edomites are fit to rule. People are starting to look at them and say, these people are not supposed to rule anymore. And that's why the nations are trying to think they're going to do their own thing and start their own thing outside of Esau. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen that way, because the Israelites are going to rule next. This is Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who have Yahweh so nigh unto them, as Yahweh our power is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? So the Israelites, when we're built up properly under the new covenant, we're going to have Yahweh close to them, close to us, so that we can call upon him for things, and he'll do those things, because we're going to be in a righteous state at that time. And the scriptures even say that before we even ask for certain things, it's already going to be given unto us. But the other nations are not going to have that. And the other nations are not going to have, in the same way as we do, the laws that are righteous, the laws of Yahweh built within them. They're gonna still follow them, but they're not gonna have them the same way that we do. And just to get a scripture to show that they're gonna follow them, let me go to Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. This is Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he shall teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And that's what all these other nations are going to do. They're going to be underneath the Israelites, keeping the laws of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And if they ever decide that they don't want to, they're going to be punished with judgment for that, because it's going to be established in that day that the Israelites are the nation chosen by God, and it's going to be made known that they're receiving blessings for keeping the laws of Yahweh. And one of those blessings is them being above all the other nations. And the Israelites are not going to have that hierarchy of being a top nation ever taken away from them, because they're going to be under Yahweh's laws and never be able to sin again, therefore never being able to go through the curses again. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahweh, and it shall come to pass, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that Yahweh thy power will set thee on high above all nations above all nations of the earth. So once the Israelites are keeping Yahweh's laws properly, once we, the Israelites, are keeping Yahweh's laws properly, we're going to be the top nation. And no one's ever going to be able to stop us from being the top nation. But our rulership is not going to be like Esau's way. It's not going to be like what people see in the world now, where you're questioning whether the health organizations are poisoning you. It's not going to be like Esau's way, where you're looking in the sky and you're wondering what's being sprayed in the air. It's not going to be like Esau's way, where you get given fake food that's got carcinogenics in it, causing cancer. It's not going to be like Esau's way, where you can't even live, you can't even afford to live, and you have to you're just being downtrodden and broken down to the point where you don't own nothing. It's not going to be like that. It's not going to be where people are trying to inject poison into your body and make you just be a complete zombie, to where you can't have anything, you can't have anything to do. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be righteous, where it's almost going to be like you're paying tithings and paying taxes onto the Israelites, because they've made the world beautiful for you to live in, and you wouldn't be able to ever make the world be like this of your own self, because you wouldn't be able to rule in a righteous way, because you're not an Israelite. So ultimately you would always do something unrighteous, because you're not an Israelite and don't have the ability to have Yahweh's laws written into you. This is Daniel chapter 2 and verse 44. And in the days of these kings, and in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So the Israelite rulership is going to be so beautiful and so righteous and fair, and not going to have unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit. It's going to stand forever. It's going to be a kingdom that literally never ends, a forever kingdom. A forever kingdom. And then just to get a quick scripture as well, that's of Yahweh Shai. This is Luke chapter 1 and verse 30. Luke chapter 1 and verse 31. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son, And thou shalt call his name Yahweh. He shall be great, and he shall be the son of the highest. And the Lord shall give unto him the throne of his father David, and he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there shall be no end. So just in case people want to try and make out like it's a thing of, oh, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are saying you're going to rule forever. No, Yahweh Shai is going to rule forever, and we're going to rule with him. We're going to rule with him because we're of his family. We're of the same nation as Yahweh Shai, whether people like that or not. All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect to the nation of Israel. Shalom.